So let's put some of this to Lorrae Yarderberg, who's co-managing director of JK Educate. And in a sentence, Lorrae, what is JK Educate all about? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. JK Educate is all about aspirations for children, helping them to reach their potential. That's what we do.
This picture of private pupils getting better grades, being ahead of their state peers, do you recognise that?
Yes, we certainly do. And I would like to say it's not just in private schools. It does occur also in lots of very good state schools and also in state selective schools.
Why?
Well, we would drill this down to really it's about aspiration. It's about the culture of aspiration and expectation by the children themselves, their parents, the schools, the peer groups. When children have a vision of their future, when they are brought up and the people around them want their success and help and empower them to believe that they can succeed, then they do.
So why can't, when I say we, it's not actually our job, why can't they, why can't the government, why can't educational authorities somehow distill that and ensure that we can get it into the state schools?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and I believe that is what they would try to do at the best. The problem is lots of other aspects get in the way. And so the private schools are in a very advantageous position because they can filter the children that come into their schools, whereas the state schools don't. And so you've got a different cohort of children from the beginning going in. So your starting point, your entry point is different.
Lastly, you mentioned it briefly, but I sense I'm going to hear from you, Lorrae, that this is perhaps a key factor, the involvement of mum and dad and the peers that the children run with.
Yes, absolutely. Totally key factor here. I would say it's probably the single most important factor.
Lorrae Yarderberg, thank you, co-managing director of JK, as in Rowling, JK Educate. Schools are offering new teachers corporate-style packages, a gym membership, a golden hello to lure them into jobs. This is as the recruitment crisis intensifies. Other perks include generous health packages, childcare vouchers worth thousands of pounds, a particularly acute shortage in English and maths. Let's speak with someone who can give us some pointers on this. Lorrae Yarderberg is co-managing director of Yarderberg Craze Educational Consultancy and joins me now. Why don't people want to be teachers then?
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
I think they do want to be teachers, and I think that's the problem. People really want to be teachers, but they're finding conditions very, very difficult and very challenging at the moment.
In what way difficult?
I think that this article highlights the need to bring new teachers in of high quality because at the moment they are finding the consistent conditions a problem. When somebody goes into school, they're full of the joys of spring. They want to do a good job. And then slowly they start to see how difficult the job is, how difficult the conditions are, and they become disenfranchised with it. They want to actually stay, but find themselves in a dilemma that they can't, and we meet a lot.
Sorry, so they can't stay, what, because it's too hard? The work is too hard?
I would say the work is absolutely fine. It's not the work, it's often the conditions that people
Sorry, what do you mean by conditions?
So, for example, the workload might be too heavy alongside working very late hours alongside the new government proposals that might have just come in, some additional training they've got to do, and then face-to-face work in the classroom being quite challenging.
Well, what did they expect?
Doesn't
everybody know? Teaching obviously has enormous rewards, but I think it'd be ridiculous to expect it any than a tough old gig, tough old job.
I agree with you. I think it is a tough gig, but the problem is there are other opportunities as well out there now. And so people are saying to themselves, do I really want to do that, or should I go elsewhere and where the rewards are going to be higher and I'm going to have an easier life?
So when the teachers' unions say, this is because, and I am brutally simplifying their argument, it's because we don't pay our teachers enough, that's not the whole picture, you would argue.
I would agree. It's not the whole picture. We meet lots of teachers when we're interviewing them for our work where that is not the whole picture. They would stay, but there are other aspects to it which are making it too difficult.
And lastly, your view on these golden hellos, gym membership, shopping vouchers, all sorts of things like that.
Well, it's a great perk, but it's not going to last. That's the problem. It's not sustainable for people. And I think it's an idea, but they're not looking at the real issues behind it.
And why English and maths particularly, would you say? If that accords with the research or what you know with the work you're doing with Yarderberg Craze, why is it English and maths that's got a particular shortage?
I would say that there is a big focus because of the lack of performance, so they do need to get better teachers into schools to look at that. I would say that the mathematicians are going elsewhere, into computing, into big jobs elsewhere. They don't need to go into schools any longer, and they don't need to be paid at that lower rate. English is particularly difficult. It's the same problem. They can go off and do other things. They don't need to go into schools, so they're not attracted any longer into that role.
Fascinating speaking with you. Thank you for your input. That's Lorrae Yarderberg, who's co-managing director of Yarderberg Craze, an educational consultancy